We're live. Hello, heavy metal. It's just you and me tonight. So earlier today, I revisited some of my older videos that I think warrant another visit. So I thought maybe I would do a live and bring some attention to them. Hi, Sherry. Hello. Nice to see you. Hi, Jamie. And we are gonna go through very quickly the DOC timeline that we made and watch a video of Nick McLeland in a county council meeting. And yeah, because I think that it will be very interesting. At least it's very interesting to me. And any opportunity to roast Nick McLeland. Where is it? Surprise. Oh my God, my handler. I didn't tell anybody again. I've been sneaky. Hi, Heather. Where is this motherfucking timeline? Okay. Yes, Heavy Metal Rehab. It was on, no, actually, it's on this channel. So it still exists. It did not get deleted with all of our other hard work. It did get deleted. My shit is going so slow. Breeze is good, yeah. Special effects. 20 people. Hi, all 20 of you. We're doing big things. Oh, God. March. Ah, okay. Hey, Doctor. Hi, Zero Cool. Damn it. All right. So we're going to watch a video together. I think. Although it's probably going to be super glitchy, but we're going to try. $23. Love it. Okay. So we're about to watch something. It's short-ish. It's like 7 minutes, if you can hang. And this video is from a Carroll County Council meeting in February 2023. Got it? That's all you need to know. All the backstory.
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So the purpose of this meeting was to take a look at the salary ordinance and address some specific concerns that the prosecutor's office has.
I know the budget for the pot of money was approved for the case, or I don't know what it's being referred to as, but I'm ready to hire the additional employees that I need. But before I do that, I wanted to just get a clear, I guess, explanation of what the salaries were and how we go forward when we hire them. How do we pay them, all those kind of things, because this is fairly new to me. And so I'm not sure what you want me to do. I can walk through what I requested specifically in each line. Would that be helpful? I will still continue to do the cases that I can. I'll just call in a special prosecutor, senior prosecutor as needed to handle some of the caseload. Obviously, a lot of my time is going to be out at the center doing stuff for that, but I'll still contribute here as much as I can. But I still need some supplemental support. I think it'll kind of ebb and flow. In the beginning, a lot of my time is being required out there. I think there'll be kind of a lull in the middle, but then once it gets closer to trial, I'm going to be all hands on deck for the trial. And so I want to still help out here as much as I can. What we're doing now is basically, I don't want to get into the details of the case, but we've got a lot of work to do up front on the case, and a lot of it is very, very time sensitive. So I've got all hands on deck pretty much out there at the center. But Steve, my investigator now, is directly involved with the case. He's going to be a witness. He's going to be an integral part of the case. And so I want to replace him with an investigator here in the office. I'm essentially asking for two things: an additional position for a prosecutorial secretary for my office for $46,763, and then to bump up my current prosecutorial secretary from $41,763 up to $46,763. We are the case, and again, I want to be very careful about talking about the particulars of the case. We have a lot of work to do right now that is very, very, very time sensitive, and I have got a skeleton crew here because I've got everybody at the center working on the case that I can afford to pull away from here. I need more people. We're drowning right now. And so, yeah, really, I need the person hired last week. We're trading water, but that's the other problem. We get closer to trial, I'm going to be out of the loop. So I don't know.
Right.
The last thing is that I had put on the original budget is the additional compensation for Shane and I. Under 36-2514, we had talked about, and I ask for it a lot every year, an additional $5,000 for Shane and I that the county can pay us. The reason I want that, I think that's important now, is that Shane and I have jumped from a 36-hour week to 40+ hour week. We were working 36+ hours anyways, but we're going to pull double duty working here and on this case as much as we can. And I think it's important that the county support us and give us that extra money. Right now, my hourly salary is $88 an hour. Shane's is less than that because he makes less than us, less than me. You're paying the public defender to represent this guy $100 an hour. Yeah, just let that sink in for a minute. It doesn't seem right to me that we're doing that, but it also doesn't seem right that just Shane and I are going to have to work so many hours to handle this case and our own office. I just think the $5,000 extra for each of us is worth it.
Yeah, I don't think I want to take that up today. Well, I don't want to take it up today. I mean, this meeting was called to make sure that you had the resources that you need to handle this. And I mean, you're getting into a whole different bucket here because you're a state employee, not a county employee, and that's a little bit of a horse of a different color. So I think that, and this is not a time-sensitive matter. We can discuss that in the full council meeting.
Okay. Well, I can put it on the agenda too. I mean, that's fine. I just think it's important to address that, you know, the defense has unlimited resources and unlimited hours and unlimited funding, frankly, right? The council can't even question what they spend. It's all up to the judge. And so I think it's important to put us on as much of an equal playing ground as you can. And so it's important. So, okay, that's all I had.
This is the world's first reusable cotton swab. It can remove up to 10 times more earwax. Latest studies show that traditional cotton swabs are not good for your ears. There is even a warning on the box telling you not to put them in your ears. Instead,
Okay. So that was interesting. I just want to go back really quick. I'm not going to like screen share again, but I do want to read something. So in October 2021, my very good friend, Matt Sullivan, and I messaged former prosecutor Rob Ives, and we asked him if he would be open to answering some questions for us, introduced ourselves by name, and told him exactly why we were not being, weird about it. And he was like, yes, sure, if you put them in writing and send them to me, I'll respond with the answers that I can provide. So he did. And one of the questions that Matt asked him was, how long do you think the investigation would wait between identifying a suspect and arresting a suspect? And the prosecutor said the following. In talking about arresting a suspect, the real issues are twofold. One is their probable cause to support an arrest, and two, even if there is probable cause, is the evidence available likely to improve if the suspect is not arrested? Nobody can be arrested for a crime unless a court determines that there's probable cause, meaning more likely than not, to believe that the person committed the crime. In addition, rarely, if ever, does a case improve after an arrest. Generally, a person should not be arrested for a crime unless the state believes there is adequate evidence to convict the suspect. That is, that the available evidence is adequate to convince a jury of the suspect's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Where'd you go? Come back. So I like that quote. I liked it when I heard it. I liked it a year later when Rick was arrested. And I like it now, especially because it would seem like they did literally the exact opposite of that in this case. Oops. So rarely, if ever, does a case improve after an arrest. This is Robert Ives, who's been a prosecutor for 20 plus years at this point, been a lawyer for even longer. Really a pretty good prosecutor. And his belief is that once you arrest a suspect, your evidence collection generally slows down or stops completely because that suspect presumably would be protected by due process of the Constitution of the United States and by a defense attorney. However, in the case of Rick Allen, that doesn't seem to be what happened. It seems like the evidence only improved after they arrested Rick Allen, and only improved after they deprived Rick Allen of all of his due process rights and purposefully, intentionally, with malice, in my opinion, kept him from having counsel. Having said that, back to the timeline. Hey, Lead with Love. Can you say more about that? I don't like that. Why is he being denied visits with his family? Only lawyer and doctor. Well, okay, good doctor. Okay, so that video that we just watched was from February 8th, 2023. A week after that meeting, Nick McLeland, on the 13th of February, files a motion for a protective order over discovery. So there is a huge gap. We have no idea what happened during this period of time. I don't know if you can see my highlights. You can. We really have no clue what was going on between the time that Rick was put into DOC, Brad and Andy were retained. They went before Judge Gull in Carroll Circuit Court. She unsealed the PCA. And that was really it. They were supposed to have a bail hearing on January 13th. I don't remember why, or no, February 13th. For some reason that got, I don't remember what happened, actually. If anybody does, let me know. But I do know that on February 1st-ish, the defense was working to secure a bed for Rick in the Cass County Jail. The sheriff of Cass County and the prosecutor were in agreement. And then for some reason, hey, Christine, that never happened. And between February 1st and these wonky times in March where the defense visits Rick for the first time, I think, since Christmas or maybe a little bit after. They visit him, they give him good news. His condition has been deteriorating, but he's optimistic about the case, polite, inquisitive about the information, thankful. But they note his deteriorating physical condition has been observed by counsel dating back to the beginning of the new year. So Nick McLeland is sitting before counsel talking about how much very, 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 that's 4 varies, time-sensitive work he has to do. We are drowning, he says. I need more people yesterday. This is all very time-sensitive. And we know the defense brought their client, over 1,000 pages of discovery on March 24th. So clearly, they finally got some of their discovery, even though as of November 22nd, despite being on the case, they were on the case for a little over a week at the time of that hearing. And they had only ever seen the probable cause affidavit. They filed a motion to compel discovery in like January. I think DB and I were looking at it the other day. Oh, that's so awful. There's one more thing I want to look at, because I have not read that protective order over discovery that Nick filed 1 week after that meeting we just watched together. And I want to read it, if I can find it. I agree with you, Michelle. It's interesting that the state's best evidence was not even obtained until April 2023. Their best evidence that they've been fighting tooth and nail for to admit, because they obtained it illegally and coercively. All right. The 13th. So, okay, this is what happened. The defense requested to continue the bail hearing. It's good I'm doing this. I have very little recollection of what was going on at this time, because it was literally a year and a half ago. Okay. ACLU in Indiana will not help, unfortunately, and they should lead with love. I agree with you. But that has been exhausted, I'm afraid. They are not interested. Doesn't mean that we should stop pestering them, but all right. Defendant's motion to continue bail hearing and jury trial setting. Comes now the defendant. This is on the 10th of February, I believe. The 7th of February. Okay. A day before that meeting, interesting. A day before the council meeting, this is filed. Comes now the defendant, Richard Allen, by counsel Bradley A. Rosie, and respectfully requests that this court continue the bail hearing and jury trial currently scheduled on this matter. In support of said motion, defendant Allen states as follows. On November 21st, defendant filed his petition to let bail. It's scheduled for a hearing on February 17th, 2023. The defense has yet to receive the entirety of discovery from the state, and therefore is not yet prepared to proceed with the bail hearing. This is making a lot of sense now, actually. I'm glad that we're doing this. The defense anticipates receiving the remaining... You know why I'm laughing? Did anyone catch that? The defense anticipates receiving the remaining discovery by the end of this week. That means that Nick was on a very, 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 very time-sensitive deadline crunch during this time. So yeah, that makes sense. Defense counsel believes that the volume of discovery is such that there will not be adequate time to review the discovery in preparation for the bail hearing. Defendant Allen respectfully requests that the bail hearing scheduled on February 17th be lifted and reset on a date and time convenient for the court and the parties. Defendant Allen also acknowledges that the jury trial is scheduled in this cause, on March 20th, 2023. The exchange and review of discoveries referenced above will necessitate that the jury trial be lifted and reset on a date and time convenient for all parties, and wherefore Defendant Allen requests that both the bail hearing and jury trial dates be lifted and reset on dates and times convenient. So they don't have any discovery yet, and it's February 7th. They obviously had an agreement or made an agreement with the prosecutor, or were under the impression on the 7th that by the end of that week they'd have all the discovery in, which is laughable, considering that they're still getting discovery a year after this motion is filed. Over a year after this motion is filed. So yeah, the prosecutor was on a very, 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 very tight time crunch because he had to get 6 years of discovery together by the end of the week. And he needed $5,000 to do it, damn it. The other thing I want to read. That is so funny. I mean, it's not funny. It is disgusting. You're right, Heather. But usually what we've learned in this case, what people who follow this case have learned, is that usually there's like cause and effect. And usually, if you look hard enough and if you dig deep enough, the answers will reveal themselves. Why is Nick McLeland sweating bullets, frantic, pooping his pants in a council meeting about a very, 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 very time-sensitive deadline? Well, probably because the defense was anticipating the rest of his disorganized clusterfuck of discovery to be turned over to them like that day, within a few days. Nice. Okay, next thing. So the media filed a media interveners reviewed motion to intervene. So back then, the media was like all over this. They were doing what they're supposed to be doing, which was bugging the judge to honor public access laws and the program that she literally helped pioneer, which is cameras in the courtroom. They were being very, very responsible at the time, in my opinion. I don't know what happened to them. Apparently, they've all gone out to lunch. The next one is the state's motion requesting a protective order governing the discovery. Let's see what Nick's freaking out about a few days after that council meeting. Shall we? Share my screen. All right. February 13th, 2023. 6 years to the day that the girls went missing. Now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nicholas C. McLeland, and advises that the state has filed charges against the defendant under the above referenced cause number. I cannot see that at all. There we go. That pursuant to Rule 26 of the Indiana Rules of Trial Procedure, the defendant's entitled to discovery, which includes materials of a sensitive nature. Therefore, pursuant to the provision of Rule 26C, the state requests that the court issue a protective order governing these materials as follows. I love this. That one copy of the discovery material shall be provided to counsel for the defendant. That the discovery material shall not be used for any purpose other than to prepare for the defense in the above referenced cause number. What the fuck else would it be used for? There's the level of paranoia. Well, let me finish. That the discovery material shall not be publicly exhibited, displayed, shown, used for educational, research, or demonstrative purposes, or used in any other manner, except in judicial proceedings in the above referenced action. That the discovery material may be viewed only by parties, counsel, and counsel's investigators and experts. I don't see suicide companions or other felonious inmates on there. That's interesting. That if copies of the discovery material are made and provided to the defendant, investigators, or experts for the defense, that sensitive and private information contained in the discovery shall be redacted, including any social security numbers, IDAC information or NCIC information, any information related to the personal information of juveniles, including social security numbers, names and dates of birth, and any FBI Sentinel information. That discovery material shall not be distributed to any person not authorized to view it, including witnesses, family members, relatives, and friends of the defendant. That no person other than the defendant, counsel for the defendant, and those persons listed in paragraph 5 shall be granted access to said discovery material or the substance of any portion thereof unless that person has signed an agreement in writing that he or she has received a copy of this order and that he or she submits to the court's jurisdiction and authority with respect to the material, agrees to be subject to the court's contempt powers for any violation of this order, and is granted prior permission by this court to access said discovery material. That upon final disposition of this case, the discovery material referred to in paragraph 1 and any and all transcripts shall be returned to the Carroll County Prosecutor's Office or maintained by defense counsel pursuant to the terms herein. Too bad. Probably not going to happen. The counsel for the defendant shall be responsible to ensure that all persons involved in the defense of this case comply with this order. That the written documents and records provided by the state with the discovery material fall under the same rules as described above. Wherefore the state respectfully requests blah, 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 Nick McLeland on this 13th day of February. Okay. Nothing insane in that, I guess, considering like this is pretty, I would say that's like par for the course for Nick McLeland in the state in this case. Although we're all like gaslit Stockholm victims at this point, so who knows. And then the only other thing what am I doing wrong here? Oh, I didn't share my screen. I like that Nick titles all of his PDFs as like .pdf.pdf. Has anyone noticed that? It's maddening. If he titles them at all. Lazy ass. Okay. State's response. This was the 13th, the same day he files a protective order. Let me guess. They're like, yeah, sure, take all the time you need. Now comes the state of Indiana by prosecuting attorney Nick McLeland and respectfully informs the court that the state does not object to the defendant's motion to continue bail hearing in jury trial setting, and in support of said motion states the following. The counsel for the defendant filed a motion to continue on February 7th, that the state has no objection. Not at all. But the state has no objection to having those matters reset to a date, blah, blah, blah. Very gracious of the prosecutor. Hey, Dan. I feel like there was one more thing. So Judge Gold granted the protective order, obviously. But what's interesting is that doing good, Dan. Doing pretty good. Order issued. So the media interveners requested access to the protective order, the motion that that Nick filed to like seal and prohibit public access. They were like, hell fucking no. And so Judge Gull on the 17th issues an order. The matter before the court is the renewed motion to intervene and motion to grant public access to the state's verified request to prohibit public access filed by the media interveners. The court, having considered both motions and being duly advised, finds that the motions should be granted. What? It is therefore ordered, adjudged and decreed that the media interveners are granted leave to intervene and the state's verified request to prohibit public access filed on October 20th, 2022 shall be released to the public. So this is the accompanying document that the state filed when they sealed the PCA. That was basically their argument as to why, hey, Skip, as to why that should be sealed. And the media was like, we want that too. What was your reason for doing that? And it was not even helpful because there was no reason. So this is a really good timeline that was made by someone. I don't know who. Maybe I do. And I'm going to show for a second. So notice how, and I think that I've already shared this a couple times, but I'll share it again on Twitter. Notice that there's all of this activity the same week that we, of that video that we just watched, that Carroll County Council meeting. So there's a discovery deadline looming right here for the state. I think McLeland's freaking out right here. They're supposed to have a bail hearing on the 17th, but the state had not provided any discovery. So that could not happen. But what I want to know is what the fuck was going on between the time that the bail hearing is continued in the beginning of February and when the state of Indiana started trying to kill Rick Allen. I would love to know what was going on here. Wouldn't y'all? What was going on between Nick McLeland's frantic plea to the Carroll County Council on February 8th, 2023 to April 5th, 2023, when the defense filed an emergency motion because the Department of Corrections was going to kill their client because their client was in a mental health and physical health crisis that was instigated, exacerbated by the Department of Correction. And who knows who else? I don't know who is pulling the strings. None of us do. I have an idea of who. And he knows who he is. And he knows that I know. There was another document Oops. I'm out of my for a second. I want to look at, so I realized the other day, not that this should surprise anyone, but Nick McLeland, on behalf of the state of Indiana, has filed more motions involving protective orders over discovery, prohibiting public access, preventing the disclosure or release of information or discovery or evidence, and violating ex parte motions than he has filed anything pertaining to the evidence, the looming trial, or his defendant. Motion 4, order prohibiting the parties, counsel, law enforcement officials, court personnel, coroner, and family members from disseminating information. The state filed 2 counts of murder. The state's received extensive treatment. The case, has received extensive treatment in the local, national, international news media. That the media accounts concerning this cause have contained an undue number of statements relating not only to the progress of the investigation, but conclusions of the investigation, some of which have been untrue. That it is reasonable to believe that the media will continue to cover this cause of action extensively and that the publicity will prejudice a fair trial. Okay. I really like this one. Can y'all hear me? Christine, you're right. Let's check exactly when that was. Come to think of it. Pretty sure I just had it. Affidavit of Mr. Randy Jones. Mr. Jones. Here we go. Unbelievable. Me and Mr. Jones. There's face tat. Damn, where the fuck is it? Oh. I have been assigned to Westville Correctional's unit. Oops, of Westville Correctional. Can I share this with y'all? Okay. Well, that clears some things up. Man. These guys are fucking unbelievable, huh? Hope I have what? Whatever it is, I bet I have it, Radar. What is it? He did get the money, yeah, but then he got like verbally reprimanded for lying about some shit. We can talk about that another time. But I do want to. I'm certain there's a better way to do this, but it's how I'm doing it today. Oh my God. Good enough. Sharing screen. Can we see this? Yes, we can. Sergeant Randy Jones, correctional officer at Westville Correctional Facility, which is part of the Indiana Department of Correction, affirms and swears to the following. I'm a correctional officer at Westville Correctional Facility. I've been assigned to Westville Correctional Unit of Westville Correctional Facility. What is WCU unit? Whatever. Since December 11th, 2022, currently assigned to B-Pod. That I have been an acting supervisor in A-Pod, where the defendant is housed, since late February, early March of 2023. Who is the one? Was it Christine in the chat who said, why don't you check and see? Yeah. Well, there you go, Christine. You fucking nailed it. Oh, yeah. He says that in the, yeah, he says that in that meeting, Radar, that we just watched. It says they have unlimited resources and unlimited time and unlimited funding. Really? Back to Randy. Randy says, I've been an acting supervisor in A-Pod, where the defendant's housed, since late February, early March 2023. Okay. The patches do not. Oh, wait. So this was in. He wrote this letter or this affidavit in September, I believe. Of course, I don't have the date on this, but if any. Wait. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. No, I don't. If anyone knows the date that this affidavit of Randy Jones was submitted, let me know. I believe it was September of 2023. It may have been early October. What is September 22nd minus 6 or 7 months? August, July, June, May, April, March, February. Interesting. So he started wearing the patches the same time that he started working in Rick's pod. There's so many coincidences. October 10th. Thank you, DB. So October 10th minus 6 or 7 months ago would bring us right to, oh my God. Oh, Radar, I played at the beginning of the live. But it's also on, you can just watch it on, I think it's from like a year ago on here somewhere. Isn't that interesting? So Randy Jones begins working in Rick's pod around February or March. Randy Jones begins wearing patches representing not Odinism, so he says in his affidavit, even though that's a bullshit fucking lie. He's wearing patches about Odinism and Norse pagan whatever on his Oh my God. On his uniform around the same time he starts working APOD. So weird, considering he'd been working in the facility since December. I wonder why he just started wearing patches when he got transferred to APOD. It's a mystery. I don't think we'll ever know. If only there were like journalists or investigators or like, you know, an inquisitive public that could, you know, do the research and figure these things out and then report on them. That'd be cool. What else? Oh, okay. There's one more thing I want to watch. This one's funny. Randy Jones and Sergeant Joshua Robinson is the other one. Love this, love this, love this comment. Could not agree more. Dr. Walla is voted off the island. I was giving her as much benefit of the doubt as I could muster. I'm over it. Fucking sucks. She's the worst. Let's do one more thing. You're welcome. We could watch it on Chooch, but I think the R&M version is probably better for today. Okay. Share screen. How do I make this?
I agree.
Here we go.
What's transpired is that he's not hired somebody externally. He's moved somebody that was an existing employee over into this newly created position.
The secretary's there, and then the other girl that was the clerical assistant, he hired her. But he hired her the same day that this all was decided.
I would say we gave the $5,000 based on the statement that this individual we were going to give $5,000 more, had a lot of prior experience that would help in the position. That person did not take that job, so why they came back? I don't know.
I would have been here at that meeting. I would have never voted to put this through, because it sounds like to me that somebody had came and told Nick what they wanted to work for. And I don't think that's how we should hire. Is that we're gonna give somebody more money because they say they want a job, but they want this price to come work.
Well, it was an extraordinary circumstance, and we acknowledged that exact thing. It's like, but what are we gonna do? We have 1,000,000 pages or some ridiculous number of papers that we have to provide the court, county has to provide the court for this investigation, and there's nobody to do it.
We gave a $5,000 raise under false pretense, because we wouldn't know that this person had experience in this field. We needed somebody right now, and that's why I was for giving them the $5,000.
Yeah, I agree.
And this has not happened, so I think we should go back to $5,000. Or that $5,000 stipend should come up.
Well, no, but he said the $5,000 raise, and I'm just clarifying, he's talking about the prosecutor secretary's 5,000 and not the prosecutor's 5,000. I just want to make sure that we're talking the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, do you have court or anything that we're bumping up against?
I'm okay for a little bit, yeah.
I'm not understanding.
That's
You have a position,
that's their point.
you have a position, and then you're hiring another one to help that position release the load. So I'm not understanding why you're wanting to up the salary.
Okay, well, the reason is because we were told we needed to up the salary to hire this external candidate.
Yes.
With previous experience, which.
That was the conversation.
I think, Tracy, I think you have to acknowledge that we're in a bad position at the trial. I mean, do you understand the urgency of why this was an urgent hire?
I guess, but it didn't work out for you, so
Well, and I agree, and that's why we're here, but like, the decision was made because we were we're between a rock and a hard place. We had to make a decision, and that decision cost us $10,000. We acknowledged what we were doing, it had to be done, or we aren't going to be able to effectively prosecute this case. And if
you really say that, Nick? You don't have these two secretaries, you're not gonna be able to fully prosecute this case?
I mean, that's a hard question to answer. I don't know. I'm definitely, I think in a rock and hard place because of lack of staff and lack of resources. The defense has unlimited resources. Essentially, they can ask the judge for what they need. The judge will make that decision, but they don't have to get approval from anybody but the judge. And so whatever resources they ask for, if the judge believes are reasonable, they're going to get approved for. And it could be putting me at a disadvantage. It absolutely could. I can't say that it will. It's too hard to say right now.
we cannot afford to mess up the trial, period. All the resources have to be there. Now, what we can debate is whether it's worth risking $5,000 or $10,000 to accomplish that. That's a fair debate. But like, we all need to keep in mind here, the thing that has to happen is this case has to go through the process, be adjudicated, and resource constraints we cannot be the story about why this case was not adjudicated properly. Okay, so like, let's just, I think we have to keep the end goal in mind, that all the resources are there for this case to go smoothly, and for us to do everything that the court asks of us, asks of the prosecutor's office, so that they have the resources to comply with that. So, like, anything is on the table, but if we do anything to compromise that mission, I think we do it to our detriment, both fiscally and morally. So that's just my 2 cents on it.
She's not a paralegal, she's not creating documents.
Thank you.
She is creating documents, actually.
But not like legal documents like the paralegal does.
She is actually. She's filed the motions for me. She's drafting motions to dismiss.
Yes, please, this is not a debate, please. I'm glad to hear you, and you have a good point, but let's just, please. And sorry, Tim, I'm not.
That's fine. Can you go ahead?
So one point I would like to make is through the years, this body has always said, we do not pay the person, we pay the job for the job description. We don't pay for the person, we pay for the job description. If these two people have the same job description, and the current secretary was working for the amount she was working for, and she's been working down at the center for that amount prior to him asking for the raise for the person that he wanted to come here to have the experience, but did not come, then why do we need to give them a $5,000 raise because she was working in that position and doing that job? And the girl that's moving up from the assistant's position is going to get a $10,000 raise to go up to that prosecutor secretary position. So I don't understand why there's even a question here. You don't pay for the person, you pay for the job description. And that's been stated in this body several times over.
And so the question is, are we removing the $5,000 from both positions? Josh seems to think that if we do, that we're going to earn the trial.
I want to say, before we act, we need to look at it through that lens of the consequence.
Everybody in my office has been working really hard to get everything done and accomplish what we need to. it's really hard because I don't know what the future is going to bring. I don't know how many hearings we're going to have before the trial. I know we have a couple set now. I don't know, at this point, I don't know how many witnesses we're going to have, but it's going to be in the hundreds. And as we get closer and further down the line, it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of coordination delivering in my office. And I don't know if what we have, we can handle. I won't know until I get there. And that's the hard part, is to try to determine, because if it ends tomorrow, let's just say it ended tomorrow for whatever reason, that your job would end.
I just want to say, the clerk's office, if the prosecutor's office is getting a lot more stuff, that all trickles down to my office. So my office staff is working harder too, because now we're fulfilling all of this stuff from the murder trial. I'm not here asking for more money. I'm just stating that it's not just his office that's working more. We get sometimes, and I'm not exaggerating, 12, 15 emails a day from news organizations wanting all of these documents. And now we have to stop what we're doing and provide those documents.
I get all those same emails too.
I'm starting to get those.
So, I mean, it's not just his office that's increased, and I have no more staff. We just make it work. We do it. If it means I stay after 5 o'clock to finish it, I stay after 5 and finish it.
I just want to go back and scan, we're talking about, what we have at risk is $10,000, right?
Actually, general fund.
Well, yeah, so, let's just test, everybody's wound up about this because of people, right? And the jealousy between all these things. Just stepping back, we have a 2 point, can you get control of
Just continue. I've been really fair to try and let everybody speak, so. Let's keep that. Go ahead.
We have a $2.1 million department now that is this trial, and we have a $5,000 or $10,000 question mark around that. Do we wait? I mean, in the grand scheme of a $2.1 million expenditure, is $5,000 with the potential consequence of derailing it worth that risk? And understanding that I'm talking about the worst case scenario, right? We don't comply with the court, we don't get the right stuff done, and we get down the road and they declare a mistrial. There's lots of ways that goes really well because we didn't hold up what the court said that we should hold up.
So now you're saying there's possibly going to be a mistrial because we don't fund $10,000.
I'm saying
No, that's.
That is what you said.
I'm saying that is a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But let's just be real. If we don't do anything and we don't supply the defense with the documents that they have requested, the judge will know. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? I try not to be hyperbolic when I'm in here, but is there merit to what I was saying? Can you just explain what would happen in the eventuality that we didn't fill a position, you didn't have the resources you need, and we were not able to respond to the court or to the are we responding to the court or to the defense attorney?
Both, possibly. I mean, the really risk is that if the trial has to be delayed because of me, if I have to ask for a continuance, the state only has so much time to try a case. And so if things are delayed because I don't have discovery in, or I don't have something else done, that's where the problem lies. So that's really the risk, and I guess that comes to the forefront of my mind, that being able to get stuff done and being able to respond quickly to a motion from the court, order from the court, or a motion from the defense, to be able to respond to that quickly and get the stuff done that we need to do within the time limit that we need to get it done.
I find that hard to say that you wouldn't prioritize that, whether it be with overtime or, like you said, pulling a girl from another position to come in to help us, since your whole office is working on it. So
We try to as much as we can, but we do 2 to 3 jury trials a month, and there's only 2 prosecutors here to do that. We come back from spring break, I have a week break, and then I have 3 jury trials 3 weeks in a row. It's tough. It's a lot of hours. It's tough. So that's my fear.
We've got a motion on the floor by Tracy, seconded by Scott Ayers, to remove the $5,000 pay increase. All right, call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All right. Motion fails 3-2.
I just want to say for the record, and I agree with Doc, this whole thing smells wrong. It feels like false pretenses. I understand what it does to the court, to the rest of the courthouse, that we're making this exception that is 100% wrong, or 100% not wrong, 100% against everything that we normally would do. I'm just gonna say, if the family members of this court case were standing in front of us and said, how could you not give the, I'm just gonna finish my statement. I'm going to finish my statement. Please don't interrupt me when I'm speaking.
I will interrupt you.
Please do not interrupt.
Very unfair.
Point of order, please.
Mrs. Levinsky.
I'm not going to allow $5,000 or $10,000 to be the reason, whether what the prosecutor's done is right, wrong, or indifferent. All the resources need to be here to do this, and that's ultimately what this vote is about to me. So I'm sorry, I'm going to say for the record, but
I have 100% confidence that Nick will get to us what he needs. But for you to sit there and say that a family member is sitting out there and going to judge us, very unfair statement.
And I would
It'll solve a lot of this.
also like to add that this body has always impressed upon the department heads to run their department as efficiently as they possibly can. And I don't know how the extra pay is going to keep the prosecutor from running his department the way he sees that it needs to be ran. We've always impressed upon the department heads that's your department, you guys run it the way you need to run it. And I'm not certain that the extra pay would keep him from running his department efficiently.
For that trial.
Yeah.
Fair points. We've got a motion by Doc Stalker to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
My goodness. Ah. Hello. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad angle. So let's go back to our yeah, I think that's what I want to do. I'm going to mess up the timeline. I'll fix it later. Handler. So let's go to Carroll County Council meeting and Nick's how did she say it? Or he can't. Did you really say that, Nick? Or you can't something prosecute this case? I'm just going to say successfully for now. Oh my God. Nor. Hey, Colonel Network, my friend. What else should we add? Does anyone have that date? What was it? The 8th, right? That other council meeting? Actually. February 8th, 2023. Carroll County Council. February 8th, 2023. Oops. Ah! Fucker. And Nick is treading water, drowning, working with a skeleton crew on a very, 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 very time sensitive. Oh, wait. We're going to say this, the discovery deadline agreed upon by the defense and the state is approaching. Let's check when February 8th, 2023 was. It was a Wednesday. So Nick had the 9th and the 10th until the 10th to get all of his discovery in. So then the state is approaching on February 10th. Is that works for now, right? Interesting. Things are starting to make sense. And then we're also going to say there is one other thing. Oh, December. Randy Jones. Oops, that's not how you spell Randy. Where you at, Randall? Here you are. Randall, if you're watching, welcome. December 11th. (2022). DB, if you are saying things or if anybody is saying things, I can't see the chat at all. So I'm in no man's land. So you're going to have to send a distress flare. Sergeant Randy Jones. How did he say it? Is assigned to whatever. Does anyone know what the WCU unit is at Westville? Well, this says B-Pod, Sleuthy, because this is still, he says, so December 11th, 2022, currently assigned to B-Pod, that I have been an acting supervisor in A-Pod, where the defendant is housed since, and here we go again. See, everybody's really clear on dates until we get to February and March of 2023, and April, actually, and then everybody just seems to just forget all of the dates. He became, well, so no, I'm going to share this though again because it's confusing, but this is what it, where the heck? Oh. Let me make sure I'm not fucking this up. I'm pretty sure. So if you help me interpret this, please. I'm so glad you're here. So, been assigned to the WCU unit of Westville since December 11th, currently assigned to B-Pod, but I've been an acting supervisor in A-Pod, where the defendant is housed, since late February, early March 2023. Okay, so let's do I guess we'll just say late February, early March. I hate that shit. Like, give me a date. You're trying to tell me that this guy couldn't pull up his employment records or whatever, or ask his supervisor, hey, what was the date that I started working at? No, but it's all late February, early March, because they know that if they actually say the date, it's going to be too fucked up. Read one more time. Sleuthy, I can't interpret. My brain is not doing it. You have to tell me what I'm doing wrong here. Because to me, it says he's currently assigned to B pod, but he became acting supervisor in A pod in March 2023. What am I doing wrong, Sleuthy? To me, it kind of sounds like he's on both, right? Or maybe Randy Jones ain't too fucking bright. Maybe that's the problem. I don't know, Sleuthy. Can you see this my screen? It says they moved him to B pod. He was assigned to B pod in December 2022, but he's been supervising A pod where Rick is since March 2023. So he started in B, and then he was made supervisor of A, and it sounds like he was doing both jobs. That's kind of how I'm understanding it. But who knows? Because, again, everything's ambiguous and nothing makes any fucking sense. Yes, they did. Exactly. So that's kind of what we're shooketh by. Because they literally, in late February, early March, 2022, or three. Sergeant Randy Bitchmaid Jones is assigned. Yep, there you go. That's exactly right, Susie. Is assigned. Oh, is made acting supervisor of A pod, where Alan is and has been housed at Westville Correctional Facility. Interesting. And then here's another thing that we also, I think, should add. Do we stop at April here? No. Yes. Well. Nope. Here we go. Sergeant Randy Jones stops wearing his Odin patches at Westville Correctional Facility per orders by Warden Gallipoo. Are there two L's? Yeah. I think he says warden, right? Or command. Per orders by his command. But he does say, I started wearing patches 6 or 7 months ago. And he says this on October 10th. So October, September, August, July, June, May, April, March. Interesting. So between sometime between March and April 2023, Sergeant Randy Bitchmaid Jones begins wearing patches on his Westville Correctional Facility. Oh, wait, no, we're going to say on his Department of Corrections uniform. Love that. We love to see it. Oops, I didn't mean to stop sharing that. Yes, Skip, he was the warden. This is one of the things I'd love to find out. Who does Jerome Holman know in IDOC? Just a rhetorical. Yes, his middle name is Bitchmaid. It's on his birth certificate. The more you know. Allegedly. Let's look at this again because it's just the fucking worst. Ask again, Ange. Same guy. What do you mean, criminal network? Ask again. Huh. This is very fucking suspicious. And I'm not even too vested. Oh, the Jerry Holman question. I said, I would just love to know if there is any kind of, no, you're right. It was a question. If there's any kind of camaraderie, familiarity, friendship, familial relationship, other kind of relationship between ISP Lieutenant Detective Jerry Holman and anybody in the Department of Correction or Internal Affairs, or where else might they be? I don't know, the fucking governor's mansion, fucking superintendent's lair, wherever Doug Carter hangs out. He definitely hangs out in like a lair. Creepy little guy. Or another detective. Well, there you go, that too. Yeah, Judge Jessica. I think what's cool about like a timeline like this is that I don't really have to defend against what, I mean, it's right in front of us. It's objectively suspicious. There's a lot of shit that feels really bad. What about the detective that listened to 1,000 hours of interviews? Speaking of, don't go away. Do, 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 do. I hate this clip that we're about to watch together with so much fiery passion. However, I think it's important, so we're going to watch it, just a short clip of it. Pay attention to who his names are listed. Or don't, but we're going to watch it. I'm going to watch it, and you're all going to come with me.
that today, actually last Friday, was the day. And an arrest has been made. Thanks to literally hundreds of media outlets that have been steadfast in reporting and keeping the memories of Abby and Libby front and center. Many of you in the room have developed relationships with me personally, and you know I always have a personal perspective, and today's no different. But from a very personal perspective, you all have provided inspiration and support, even while oftentimes frustrated with us and me. You continue to encourage the efforts, and you too believe that one day we would all be here participating and sharing this news. To the entire law enforcement community, which includes all local, state, and federal agencies, which are far too many to specifically mention today, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are going to continue a very methodical and committed approach to ensure that if any other person had any involvement in these murders in any way, that person or persons will be held accountable. Since the murders of Abby and Libby 2,086 days ago, the daily investigative team has worked tirelessly and is certainly worthy of mention today. Specifically, Sheriff Linsonby, the Sheriff of Carroll County, Detectives Tony Liggett, Detective retired Kevin Hammond, former Delphi Chief and now the prosecutor's investigator Steve Mullins, State Police First Sergeant Jerry Holman, Detectives Jay Harper, Dave Vito, and Brian Harshman, along with members of the United States Marshal Service, specifically Agent Jeremy Clinton and Agent Bill Colfers. With them today is Dan McLeland, the U.S. Marshal, appointed U.S. Marshal. Our state police analyst, our scientist from many different disciplines within our laboratory division, Mrs. Kathy Shank, for your incredible dedication to detail, and to so many others that I know I've missed. I really believe that Abby and Libby would be proud of you for standing strong, even in the face of immense pressure and perpetual criticism. Some of these individuals have postponed retirement, passed on promotional opportunity, have dedicated personal time away from their families, given up nights, weekends, and holidays, all while in the pursuit of accountability for Abby and Libby. I know that today's announcement will not diminish your resolve, and I hope you have found just a bit of peace in this most complicated world. This is really important. While I know you are all expecting final details today concerning this arrest, today is not that day. Today's not that day. This investigation is far from complete, and we will not jeopardize its integrity by releasing or discussing documents or information before the appropriate time. Prosecutor Nick McLeland, of course, will share additional information about what we can and cannot say, and also explain to you why the probable cause affidavit is temporarily sealed by the court and not available. And by the way, he has been a tremendous, tremendous asset to this team. I'm yet again asking you for your patience and please your understanding while our system of due process works. Also remember that all persons arrested are presumed innocent. All persons arrested are presumed innocent. You all will have an innate desire to subjectively interpret and then report what you think. We in the law enforcement realm cannot, and you should never allow us to, talk about what we think concerning facts. but rather discuss and share at the right time what it is we know. The time will come when additional details can be released. But again, today is not that day. It's about Abby and Libby, their families, and this community, this nation, and even our planet. The prosecutor has been very clear with law enforcement about what his expectations are, about what can and cannot be released, shared, or discussed. So we will, of course, comply. If you choose to be critical of our silence, be critical of me, not the front line. These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion. In other words, a guilty verdict. These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion. In other words, a guilty verdict. These are the folks that have committed their entire lives to a successful conclusion. In other words, a guilty verdict. As we move to the next phase of this investigation, I will continue to offer
Man, wasn't that great? So they thank Detective Brian Harshman, who is the detective who he's a detective, right? Yeah, he's the detective who testified at the hearing for the state. He's the guy that sat in the little control room and listened to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of Rick's conversations and watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of their little monster in his cage just pacing back and forth, 15 steps one way, 15 steps the other way, 15 steps one way, 15 steps the other way, just sitting there fucking watching him. That is your taxpayers at work, Indiana. Isn't that cool? So I want to show one more. Yep, Aaron, you're right. A successful conclusion, aka a guilty verdict. What an odd fucking man. He's just so goofy and weird. Although I think that that's diminishing how knowingly and intentionally slimy he is. Okay, I just realized this I'm about to show you. I will not play the whole thing, or maybe I will. Should I do like 1.25 speed on these videos of the prosecutor, or are we okay with how it's going? Are we wanting to like rip our skin off? Is it too slow? Is it fine? I'm going to keep it as is. But this was February 23rd, 2023. Let's see. What's going on February 23rd? Not a whole lot.
Let's begin with our pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Nick.
I feel like I've went over this 3 or 4 times already, but I initially put this in the budget for the Rich Allen murder case, asking for the additional pay for Shane and I. It's allowed under IC code 36-2-5-14, where the county can supplement the full-time prosecuting attorney and full-time chief deputy with a $5,000 supplement. Did that for a couple of reasons. Our weekly hourly rate is based on a 36-hour rate, or 36-hour week, just like every other county employee. The county has approved to pay each public defender $100 an hour. At my rate, my hourly rate is only, it looks like my current pay, my hourly rate is only $85 an hour. And so with the extra work that we're doing above and beyond 36 hours a week, and now more than 40 hours a week because of the Richard Allen case, I think that it's deserved that we get the extra bump from the county. And so that's essentially what I'm asking for. So questions, comments? Who doesn't want to approve the extra pay? And then why don't you want to approve it? I guess that's all I'm curious about.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Tracy Martin, seconded by Paul Ryder to approve a $5,000 supplemental pay and to the prosecutor and deputy prosecutor. Is that his title?
Right. So the only 2 that we have in our office that are working is Shane Evans and I. It's the only 2 people we have.
And what mechanism are you proposing to pay this?
We can have the 2.1 million that we've allocated for the trial.
I mean, are you gonna pay it weekly? Are you gonna pay it in a lump sum? Are you gonna pay it out of trial? Are you gonna pay it out of diversion? Are you gonna pay it out of the prosecutor's office? Like, there's a number of questions I have. So, I mean, is this a one-time thing that we're doing? Is it is this gonna now be normal and customary?
So I guess the reason I made my motion is just for what Nick said, is because of the trial and they are having to put so much into it. And, so I guess I would only want to do it as a annual. And I would assume that I would probably like to see it in all the trial expenses.
The $85 an hour that you referenced your pay currently, that's a state statute mandated rate, correct?
Well, I don't think it's state statute mandated, it's just what the state pays.
Okay.
Yeah, so Shane and I, the deputy prosecutor and I are state employees. Everything is through the state for us. It's really an odd setup. It's actually a state office, but some of it is ran by county employees, with the exception of Shane and I, which are state employees, state insurance, benefits, everything through us is through the state. And so it's a little bit, same way with the judge's office. It's the same way. The judges are state paid, but all their supporting staff is county paid.
So the pay discrepancy in terms of the hourly rate and understanding that there are extenuating circumstances with this trial, that's really governed by the state specific to what you're paid.
Well, no, not the public defender rate. The county votes on what the public defender rate should be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
And so the public defender rate is the county's agreed to participate in the public defender program, and it's $100 an hour. Some counties don't pay the $100 an hour. Some counties pay $80 an hour, $85 an hour, whatever they agree on. So the discrepancy in pays
than what the county voted to do.
The Indiana code that you referenced, is 5,000 the cap on that? So they
Yes.
just offer up to $5,000.
Right.
So it's not even necessarily gonna make you whole in terms of the comparison to the.
No,
public
it's just gonna get me closer. Again, we're based on a 36-hour week. That's just that's how I did my pay, my breakdown pay. I don't remember ever only working a 36-hour week, ever. There's only 2 prosecutors in the county. We file a ton of cases every year. When you're prepping for trial, you gotta prep the whole weekend before, because a jury trial is a big deal. Frankly, all the cases the courts get, they start with us, right? The court doesn't get any criminal cases unless they start in our office. So we examine every police report, whether we're warranted or not, we decide that. If we are, we file charges, and then that's how the process starts. And so, yeah, I don't know that Shane or I have ever only worked a 36-hour week. If we did, you could imagine the problems that would create if we said, okay, by Wednesday at noon, we've got 36 hours, we're just not going to do anything else until next Monday. That would cause a bunch of problems. That means anybody arrested on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, they most likely would have to be released before we could file charges, because they can only hold them for 48 hours. And so that's just not feasible. That's not feasible if somebody breaks into your house or your house or your house to say, hey, we've worked our 36 hours, we're going to stop and just let that person out. That's not what I want for the county anyways. That's not why I took this job, so I could try to make a difference. I mean, that was my plan. And so that's just not the right thing to do. And so we're constantly working 40 plus hours every week. And of course that drops the hourly rate even lower and lower and lower. I've asked for the extra 5,000 every year I've been in office, because I think we're worth it. There's only one other attorney in the county, and no offense, Judge, this includes the judges, that has more criminal trial experience than me, and that's Pat Manahan. And so I think the extra pay is worth it. If I have more experience than all the other defense attorneys I'm going against, that puts me in a better position to get more convictions, win more cases, and put more bad people behind bars. And so we've asked for it every year. I think it's even more warranted now because of the Richard Allen and the amount of work that we put in for that, and that we're going to have to put in for that. And so that's why I'm asking for it.
It's $2.67 an hour.
Yeah.
I was just getting ready to say, if you do the numbers,
Yeah.
it's very minute.
It still doesn't get us to the $100 an hour, but it at least gets us closer. And so, I mean,
I would propose that we pay the $5,000 at the end of the year for service of the whole year. That's it. That's the only mechanism. Otherwise, we're 6 weeks into a pay cycle. Then we got to figure out what that 5,000 over so many pay cycles is, and it's super messy. So just pay it all in one lump sum at the end of the year.
It's super messy.
It is super.
I don't think it's super messy, but however you want to pay it, I don't care.
Because then you know they earned it. So if we paid it now, they could quit tomorrow.
Okay.
Right?
I agree, but
So would you be okay if we paid it now and then they both resign tomorrow? Do you think that
I
we did
mean,
the right thing?
what if, what if?
So I made the motion to pay the $5,000 supplement. I didn't remember who seconded. Do we have a second?
I seconded it.
Josh seconded it. Seconded by Josh Blue. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion passes 6-1.
Man, who doesn't want to approve my raise? That's what I want to know. And why? What a weird thing to ask. Can you imagine if someone you work with was like, who didn't vote for me to get a raise? And then if you wouldn't mind, just give me, the bullet point reasons as to why not. Why you think I shouldn't get a raise. And he's like, man, it sure would be unfortunate if we can't work a certain, we can only work so many hours a week. And man, if we don't get the pay and the resources and the adequate compensation, then what's going to happen. We're going to arrest an offender on Friday and we're going to have to let him go on Sunday. And then you have a dangerous, violent person and he could come and break into your home. What? That's threatening. That's funny. Same. Yeah. I mean, it's 12:19 on a Friday. I think that most everybody in the chat here is like somehow traumatized and owed compensation as a result of the Delphi case. Before we go, oh my God, criminality. Well, in that case, never mind. But still on compensation. At a girl. At a fucking girl. Always get the bag. Okay. One last thing. Just, a little refresher. Because I feel like every day until the trial, I'm going to be thinking about this and I'm going to force everybody who comes and watches us live to think about it too. Richard Allen is arrested. Let's fucking do it. Well, let's do it then. Do I think we'll have a trial in October? Do I think we'll have a trial in October? I really don't know. I hope so, but I also don't know because Judge Gold issued an order today basically saying that the state has to turn over Detective Cecil, his report within 10 days from today. And then she says that all discovery must be turned over 7 days from the date of its, all new discovery must be turned over. I could just pull it up. Cicero. Yeah, that's the name. So they're still fucking around with discovery, all of that to say. What did I say? Yeah, they're still fucking around with discovery. And my guess from what we've seen is that they're going to continue to fuck around with discovery and they're going to continue to not turn over shit that they should. And I suspect, based on her order today, that Judge Gull has every intention of granting the state's motion in limine, if not in its entirety, then in its majority. Oh, God. Yeah, they're still conducting their investigation. Cicero's the type of guy to walk up to you while you're mowing and talk about us. Love that guy. I love that guy. He's probably going to tell me how to make mine look better, too. Hey, Wheat. All right, y'all. Rick Allen is interrogated by Jerry Holman on October 26th. We don't have that on here, but we'll add it. Maybe. You did something. You fucking did something, and I'm going to prove it. And in the meantime, you're under arrest, buddy. Okay. So McLeland files a motion to seal the PCA before anybody even knows there's an arrest. Diener signs a bunch of stuff on the 28th. By the way, Nick McLeland doesn't file an appearance until fucking January, I think. Or no, November 23rd. Nick McLeland files his appearance in the case. Attaboy. Okay. November 1st, we recently learned that, oh, motherfucker. Rick Allen files a, nope, motherfucker. Rick Allen authors correspondence to the court, probably on or before October 31st, 2022. This is the letter where he throws himself at the mercy of the court and requests counsel. And somehow that correspondence goes to the Indianapolis post office where his mail is, there's like a mail stop. So it doesn't go anywhere else after that. It goes back to White County Jail, which is where it was sent from. But by the time the letter gets back to White County Jail, Rick Allen is no longer there because he has already been shipped off as a safekeeper, under safekeeping to the Department of Correction. So his letter goes back to White County Jail and gets stamped as inmate is no longer in White County Jail. And then the letter just stops. It doesn't get sent anywhere else. But it does somehow end up on the desk of the Carroll Circuit Court clerk because it then gets filed in the CCS feed and put on the record November 9th, right? Is that the 9th? Yes, November 9th. It's on the record. I'm going to add that. I'm fucking up our formatting, DB. I'm sorry. So if we're assuming, no, we know actually definitively that Rick wrote his letter requesting counsel before November 1st, and his letter didn't even arrive at the court until the 9th. That's really concerning. That's almost 2 weeks that a pretrial defendant with a constitutional right to counsel is throwing himself at the mercy of the court. Yeah, see, not DB, that's what I don't understand. How did they stop a letter if it didn't come from his home to be marked? Right. Like this, that's why I was like, how did they know that it was from him? Like, it's not like his address, like it just, someone would have had to be looking for it almost. I don't know how that works. I know you said the barcode at the bottom means something, but it just doesn't, it's just like, it just feels weird to me, the whole thing. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but it just feels like it would be a hard thing to pull off successfully in such a short amount of time. Yeah, this is a great point. I would not want to be audited by the U.S. Post Office, by the way. They don't fuck around. They might not get you your shit, but they're going to audit you. And they're going to do it well. And I'm not going to want to be around for when it happens. Good question. I don't know. Okay. What else? Timeline. Where's my tab? I lost my tab. What am I doing wrong here? There you go. Okay. So letter is in no man's land. But on November 3rd, Lesenby files safekeeping. Judge Diener affirms, grants it. Rick, without an attorney, without a hearing, which is mandated by law, is transferred into Department of Corrections custody under safekeeping and arrives at Westville Correctional Facility. Judge Diener then promptly and immediately recuses himself from the case. Wow. And that same night, or no, the next day, nope. Okay. Upon his arrival at Westville, Allen's immediately placed on suicide watch. Jerry Holman gives orders to RDC, which is the like hub for, what is it called? I don't know what it's called. Doesn't matter. To put Allen in a cell with 24-hour CCTV video. There's only there's only 4 of those in the entire facility. And he stayed in a cell, a segregation cell, from November 3rd, 2022 until December 6th, 2023 under 24/7 video surveillance. Imagine. I don't know what this is. Oh, okay, never mind. Bradley Rosie talked about this. Fran Gull enters on November 4th. November 8th, Westville Correctional Unit suicide monitoring. I don't know what that means either. Per Bradley Rosie, motion expressed. Okay. Oh, exhibits. Perfect. I have to link those. Holy shit. So this guy is in DOC, in SEG, in one of 4 cells equipped with 24/7 video surveillance, and on suicide monitoring before his letter is even entered in the record in the Carroll County Court, throwing himself at the mercy of the court, requesting counsel. So he doesn't have counsel, and while he doesn't have counsel, they managed to do all of this shit to him. Look how isolated they got this man. In a span of a week, look what they were able to accomplish. That's fucked. They kept him from counsel deliberately. They deliberately deprived him of his constitutional right to counsel for 2 fucking weeks. Intentionally prevented him from contacting the fucking outside world in any capacity. Blocked his mail to the court. It's not like he was writing to his pen pal. He addressed his letter to the fucking court, the jurisdiction over his double murder case. And they blocked his mail, sent it back to the jail that made sure he was out of there before he got his fucking letter back, threw him in prison in segregation, which is the fucking most, it's a prison within a prison, on 24. So he's already being monitored 24/7 by Jerry Holman in prison, in seg, on suicide protocol before he has a fucking attorney. And he's a pretrial defendant. They just needed to get him in there. That's all they needed to do. Because once they got him in there, look how fucking hard it was for them to get him out. It took them a year and a half. So the trend that I've noticed is a little bit more passive, or no, not more passive. It's not like they necessarily break the laws, right? It's actually worse than that, because at least when you break the law, there's some recourse. What they do is, it's like they know which laws to exploit and which laws to like weaponize and which laws to like pervert and finagle to their own liking. So for example, there's safekeeping, in the Indiana Criminal Code, the safekeeping chapter, the reason that safekeeping exists, presumably, is to keep the inmate and society safe. But what, I don't know who, I guess what the sheriff's department and the task force and Judge Diener and the prosecutor did was they took this code that's intended to keep society safe and they applied it in a really perverse and twisted way to suit their need at the time. And then they virtue signal and they assign blame and they finger point and gaslight and say, this is the public's fault. The public is actually trying to keep the public safe because public information actually keeps the public safe. And when the public is demanding that public information be public, what happens is Judge Diener issues a bloodlust order saying that this safekeeping order is not predicated on anything that the defendant did. It's not predicated on anything that has to do with Rick Allen or threats against him. No, the thing that's making everybody unsafe is the public's bloodlust for public information before that information exists. I don't remember reading anything in the safekeeping chapter of the Indiana criminal trial fucking rules that says that if the media is too fucking annoying to you, that you get to ship your defendant off to prison. I don't remember reading that. Missed that part. And then Judge Diener gets the fuck out of Dodge so he doesn't have to deal with any questions, repercussions, or inquiry, or accountability, or scrutiny. And then we get another judge. And wouldn't you know it, when the defense attorneys go before the media once to literally refute the prejudicial fucking bullshit public statements that the state of Indiana and the superintendent have made since the arrest of their client, violating fucking trial rule 3.6, which Judge Gold likes to throw in Andy and Brad's face, which, by the way, Nick McLeland violated fucking first. And there's a clause in there that says you're allowed to speak to the media and refute prejudicial claims against your client. So in my fucking opinion, they didn't fucking violate any code. They were just following. I don't even think Judge Gold knows what she's talking about half the time. So it's probably not even worth splitting hairs about that. But they go before the media and they're like, here's our press release, since the state got to do one on a national stage. And then another one a month later that Nick McLeland put on fucking ISP letterhead and sent out to his favorite news media entities, not all of them, just his favorite ones, and then they disseminated them as they saw fit. Then Brad and Andy said, okay, we have some words. And they put out a press release that was benign. All the information in that press release was already either in the PCA, publicly available in other civil cases, a la Mike Thomas. And that's it. But Judge Gull, much like her predecessor, Ben Diener, decided that the remedy for being annoyed and offended by what the defense attorneys did for the sake of their client was then to literally punish the public in perpetuity. So because that press release pissed her off because she's a megalomaniac, egomaniac, irresponsible fucking lunatic, she decided that the appropriate remedy was, you know what? That's it. You've done it now. You overstepped and made me look weak. And from now on, you're never going to have another fucking camera or audio or streaming or anything in this case ever again. The end. And she's maintained that. They hate the public. They don't see the public as constituents. They don't see the public as worthy of the duties they were elected to carry out on behalf of the public. They don't think the public is smart. They don't think that the public is ethical or good intentioned. They think the public is the adversary, which is why for 6.5 years, the public has been completely starved and famished of any meaningful information. And then they want to turn around and blame the public and use the public as a battering ram to keep their bullshit PCA sealed and protected from the public. And then you've got the news media. Don't even get me fucking started on Indiana news media. I have never witnessed the level of indifference and fucking submissive, subservient tail tucking that I have witnessed in the past 3 years in the Indiana media. They're basically just another arm of the state. They make little waves, and when the little waves that they make get shut down, they're like, okay, won't happen again. And then we don't hear from them again. And then you got Russ McQuaid, who's like, I don't tweet. Maybe you should start, Russ. Maybe you should start. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you should tweet. I'm just going on a tangent now. I'm sorry. Okay. I think I said everything I want to say. If you're just tuning in, go to sleep, Angela. I'm about to. If you're just tuning in, new information, breaking news. We've added to the timeline. Sergeant Randy Bitchmade Jones is assigned to Westville Correctional Facility B-Pod in December 2022. Richard Allen is housed in A-Pod of Westville. And in February, the beginning of February, February 1st, the defense tries to move their client out of DOC. They have no discovery at this point, y'all. Remember, they have not gotten discovery yet. Not a single page of discovery aside from the PCA does the defense have. So I think that it's reasonable to assume that this entire period of time when we're not seeing filings really from them, except for the one where they have to request to continue the bail hearing that they've requested because they don't have any fucking discovery. They're not filing anything. They don't have anything to file. So instead, they're probably exhausting themselves trying to get, so they get the Cass County Sheriff agrees, they secure a bed at Cass County Jail for him so that he can get out of DOC. I don't believe they've been able to even meet with him since December 22nd. So a month-ish and a half goes by. And they're like, okay, we got him a bed. I think Brad actually refers to it when he's cross-examining Sheriff Lesenby at the June 2023 hearing. He even says, like, Sheriff, are you aware that there was like a little war going on between behind the scenes between us and the sheriff, basically to get Rick out of DOC? Yeah. Meanwhile, Nick is going in front of the council every week. He went 3 weeks in a row asking for a raise. Yes, DB. He was literally asking for a higher salary. Let's see. Defense is trying to get their client moved out of prison into a county jail so that he can enjoy his due process rights as he's constitutionally entitled to. Around the same time, the prosecutor's priority is, I need to pay people to organize and turn over the discovery that I've been fucking sitting on for 6.5 years. I haven't done shit with this discovery. It's like when you have a thesis paper due the next day and you haven't started it yet and you're like, I'm going to have to fake my own death. I feel like that's kind of what Nick McLeland was up against. Discovery deadline was literally 2 days. So he goes before the council on the 8th, and February 10th is when they agreed. The defense and the state. The defense is like, hey, judge, we're going to just continue this bail hearing because the prosecutor gave us his word, his absolute Boy Scout promise word, that by the end of this week, the 10th of February, we'd have all the discovery. That's comically sad now. Late February, early March 2023, this is where shit starts to really fucking go to hell. Sergeant Randy Bitchmade Jones is made acting supervisor of APOD. He's not just moved to APOD, he's made supervisor. Awesome. That's exactly where Rick Allen happens to be housed. March 20th, 2023, the prosecutor again goes before the council and pleads for additional funding, or he can't successfully prosecute the case. I'm between a rock and a hard space. This is a really hard question to answer, Tracy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to successfully prosecute this case. And you know who's going to suffer? The families of the girls who Josh Plu's names couldn't even fucking remember their names. Those are the people that are going to really suffer. If we don't get this $10,000, the family, how offensive. Eat shit. Then on 21st of March, Dr. Walla, per her testimony, says that Allen took God into his heart. I need more information about this, so I'm really looking forward to the hearings coming out. I mean, the transcripts from the hearings coming out. But this is actually from, I'll show you where this is from, because I show my work. Why can't I scroll? Oh, there we go. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, here it is. On March 21st, 2022, Dr. Wallace says that Allen took God into his heart. She said on one occasion he asked to call his wife to confess. Asked Walla to stay in the room while he made the call. She testified that before Allen's wife abruptly hung up the phone, she told him to stop talking and she was calling his attorney. Poor fucking Kathy. So apparently on March 21st, Rick Allen found God. Now, from what we've heard, she calls it psychosis, and it is. Something that happens when a person is in psychosis is you can have delusions. Delusions can be grandiose. Delusions can be paranoid. Delusions can be persecutory, whatever that word is. Delusions can be, you can have delusions of guilt. It's very common. Dr. B once shared on a live that we did that he's had patients who are psychotic who believe that they are, that they participated in the Holocaust. They feel tremendous guilt for basically the crimes against humanity that they committed during the Holocaust. Of course, that's not true, but they believe it to be true because they're psychotic and they're having delusions. Another delusion that is common, you can get religious delusions. We see these a lot in cases where, well, I don't know if a lot is appropriate, but we see these in cases where Andrea Yates, she was experiencing psychosis, postpartum psychosis, and she was having religious delusions. And it's very fucking sad when somebody is having religious delusions. It can be very overpowering, and they believe them to be true. I'm not saying that's what was happening here, but this is a very fucking weird thing for her to note. Shortly before March 24th, 2023. I don't know. Would you say that March 21st, 2023 is shortly before March 24th, 2023? I sure would. Oops, I'm on the wrong screen. Damn it. Let me try again. Yes, postpartum depression is horrible, Jenny. You're absolutely right. It's absolutely horrible. Okay. Okay, we're back. We're back in business. So, yeah. Per Dr. Walla, Allen took God into his heart on the 21st, but shortly before the 24th, the warden's like, hey, y'all, your defendant's acting super weird. Where is that? Where did I just see it? Am I losing my fucking mind? Oh, here it is. Sorry. Soon after March 24th. My bad. I misspoke. Soon after March 24th. I would still say that that's within a pretty tight timeline here. Around the same time, Rick claims that he is taking God into his heart. The warden's like, hey, y'all, your guy's acting pretty strange. Okay. Sometime between March and April 2023, so probably around the same fucking time, you know, Randy Bitchmade Jones decides, I'm so passionate about my fucking, never mind, Viking cosplay that I'm going to wear my Odin patch on my state-issued, fucking government-issued uniform, my racist insignia. I'm just going to wear it proudly on my uniform around this time. Cool. April 1st. So Rick's attorneys meet with him on the 24th. They're like, yeah, he's going downhill physically, but he's still feeling optimistic and positive and still proclaiming his goddamn innocence at the time. My goodness. They give him 1,000 pages of police reports and discovery. 4 days after Nick McLeland is before the council groveling for $10,000, saying that if I don't get this $10,000, I don't know if I'm going to be able to prosecute this case against the killer. Hey, Michael. So his attorneys leave him on the 24th. They leave his 1,000 pages of paperwork with whomever they have to leave it with at DOC to presumably copy it and give it to him. But on April 1st, he's put on suicide watch again. Which I guess, okay, well, the warden did say he was acting strangely and he's talking about finding God a week before. So he's probably experiencing symptoms of psychosis at this point. So he's put on suicide watch. April 3rd, the day that he presumably calls Kathy and makes these incriminating statements, he has still not been given his defense paperwork. Where was it? How long does it take to copy? I mean, 1,000 pages, fine. But how long does it take to do that? A week? Maybe. Maybe a week. The next day, the defense goes and see him, and he has slipped into psychosis at this point. He is not communicative. He is not lucid. He is not aware of what's going on around him. He is completely psychotic at this point. They refer to it as schizophrenic-like symptoms, which for somebody who's not a psychologist or psychiatrist or in the mental health field, that's I mean, yeah, that's how I would describe it. If I would say he's acting schizophrenic, sure, like symptoms. He's hearing things, he's believing things, he's saying things. The next day, they filed this motion, by the way, in under 24 hours. It's probably closer to like 12. They filed this motion fucking fast. It was on the CCS feed by like the next morning. The defense raises issue with suicide. Okay, so on April 5th, 2023, the defense raises issue with suicide companions 24/7 monitoring Allen, which calls into question the truthfulness of the state's claim that companions were not put into place until on or around April 1st. So maybe the companions are put into place on April 1st, but that means, okay, so for 4 days, the companions have been outside his cell, which is possible. I mean, I would take issue with that if it were 1 day, if I were his defense attorney. But we don't really know because, again, the only people really providing dates here, well, actually, a lot of people are providing dates. They're just all inconsistent. Jones was on the E squad. April 6th, the prosecution meets with the warden of Westville. The allegations in the motion by the defense are false because the warden told us so. Of course he did. So an inmate pens a letter to the defense and to Judge Gull on April 11th and says, corrupt officers and ranking officers are taunting Rick, calling him a kid killer, saying you have a visit from your family, your phone's ringing on your tablet, your family's calling you. They're threatening to kill him, telling him to kill himself. However, this letter was not postmarked until the 26th of April and was not put on the CCS feed, filed into the record until the 28th. So we've got some mail delays here. April 12th. This is when, per Dr. Wallace's testimony, Rick is becoming more critical, and this is when he was banging his head on the cell wall and engaging in self-harm. April 13th, 2023. Michael, are you in here still? Oh, God, I hope so, because I've been trying to get your eyes on this for a minute now. Michael, if you're in here, please report to the chat. Thank you very much. April 13th. This, as we talked about the other night, was it last night? No, a couple nights ago. The iPass versus DOC settlement agreement. Hey, Michael. Okay, ready, Michael? So the expiration date for the iPass and DOC stipulated settlement agreement was, believe it or not, April 13th, 2023. The Department of Corrections declined to extend it further, even though iPass strongly preferred that they do. However, as in their agreement, the DOC complied with their end of the bargain and the agreement, and so the ACLU agreed to let it go. Am I frozen? Motherfucker. Fuck. Am I back? I'm back. Okay. Do we have volume? I think so. that happens 1 to 5 times per live. So hopefully we got it out of our system. Sounds great. Okay, good, cool. Hey man, having RAM issues. I'm probably gonna freeze again, actually. I can feel it coming. Nope, I think we're good. RAM issues. Okay. All right. I know, I feel a freeze coming on too. Uh-oh. Okay. So, I'm gonna go fast. I'm gonna go so fast. Okay, Michael, if you're still here, April 13th, this is the end date, the expiration date of the agreement between IPASS and IDOC, which sucks because one of the stipulations of that settlement agreement, one very important stipulation of that settlement agreement, as you are aware, Michael, and everybody, is that severely mentally ill the inmates, prisoners, cannot be kept in solitary for more than 30 days. So the day this expires is the same day that Dr. Walla determined that Rick was experiencing grave disability and that an involuntary medication and placement hearing was scheduled for the next day. On 4/13, Dr. Walla's notes on Richard Allen say grave disability, consuming feces, considering involuntary medication, hearing about involuntary meds is scheduled. The next day, after the PSA expires, a hearing is held to determine whether or not Rick needs involuntary medication and to evaluate the appropriateness of his setting in the Westville Correctional Facility. Certainly the appropriateness of his fucking placement in SEG. Okay, this is another example of, I started to say this before and then I got on it, distracted, which I do. So safekeeping laws and code, they pervert it, they use it to their benefit, they use it for the opposite reason that it's intended to be used for, which is to protect defendants. They use it to harm and exploit the defendant. Yes, you're correct, DB. Everybody look at this. This is just the facts. We deal with facts here. Just facts. I'm going to steal Bob's catchphrase just to piss him off. Okay. I'm going to leave that up. I'm going to leave that up. Feels like one that I want to leave up. Anyway, so then they take the Indiana code, whatever it is, which allows for public records to remain sealed if unsealing them would significantly hamper or harm an ongoing investigation, whatever, create a significant risk to the public and to the investigation. So they take that law and code or whatever, and they lie and they twist it and they pervert it and they distort it to fit their needs. And the iPass PSA expiration, I'm not saying that they were like, oh, we're, you know, I'm not saying that one influenced the other, but I certainly do think that their MO, their standard operating procedure is they just know how to exploit and use laws and situations and circumstances around them and policies and procedures to their benefit. They weaponize the law and they weaponize it and they use it for their own benefit, not for the public. Hey, Scott. "61 confessions, but confessions to what? Because we heard recently that one of his confessions to Kathy was that he killed Kathy and Janice. Why would he say something like that? Probably because he's psychotic at the time. Okay, per Wallace notes, grave disability, blah, 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 blah. The next day they have the hearing. Nick files a response to the emergency motion on the same day as the hearing, saying the state's been made aware that the defendant... Okay, this is a problem. Nick files a motion the day of the hearing and says, the state has been made aware that the defendant is being evaluated at 10 a.m. on 4/14/21 or 23 today to assess his mental health needs and urges the judge to wait until the results come in before making a decision. He created the document at 12:45. Nick McLeland should not fucking know this. It is, quite frankly, insane that he not only knew this information, but that he was brazen enough to put it in a fucking motion as if he thought he was, like, entitled to it. The same day, Judge Gull throws the hot potato to DOC, and she's like, you guys do what you want. This document's created at 1:35 p.m. She was very efficient that day. This hot potato motion is made before she has responded to the defense's emergency motion and instead allows the DOC to assess Allen and make the call on their own. And during that hearing, they did decide that Allen needed involuntary medication. No comment on moving him. Although per Nick's 420 filing, he's doing great. He's returned to his baseline. He's sleeping. He's eating. He doesn't need meds and he doesn't need to be moved. Okay, well, all of that is untrue because Rick just continued to deteriorate further and further and further. I'm not going to go through all of it, but he got worse. He got worse. He got worse quickly and he got worse severely and he got worse right before the eyes of and under the watch of and under the medical care of DOC staff and Dr. Walla. And they not only allowed it, they enjoyed it. They watched it happen. They gave him a book. They gave him Frankel's book. What the fuck is it called? Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning. Is it a great book? Sure. Is it appropriate to give a pretrial defendant who's being treated like a prisoner of war, who's being treated like a Holocaust, like a prisoner in the Holocaust? Is it appropriate to give him that book while he's in psychosis? Probably not. She gave him crayons too and crossword puzzles. So a judge can put you there, Michael, but they can't take you out? That seems like a flawed system. Mullen. Oops, sorry. April 23rd, bizarre behavior from Rick. The 23rd is when they decide that his behavior is bizarre, not the 12th or the 13th when he's banging his head into his cell wall and consuming feces. Are you fucking kidding? So they wait 10 days before they make this call to switch the suicide companion. They probably got what they needed by that point, and they were like, okay, now you guys can go, and we'll put the fucking Odinist back in. Yes, she did just take him out, Radar. So whether or not she had the authority to do it, she had the authority to do it, and she did it. So that means that she could have done it a year and a half before. Because let's be real, Judge Gold does what she wants. In May, Mullen goes and interviews these suicide companions, which, by the way, suicide companions are part of the Mental Health Plus program, is a mental health program, which means that companions are covered under confidentiality rules. They are not allowed to share anything with anybody from their shifts watching their assigned inmate who's on suicide watch. Certainly, the state of Indiana, who's prosecuting Rick, should not know the names of the suicide companions, what they logged, because Nick did not have access to these third-party records at this point yet. So why is Mullen going to Westville and interviewing his suicide companions? Hello? Okay, now we're to September. So we filed the Franks motion on the 18th. Oh my God, the sky is falling. It shakes the core of the universe. All the fucking weirdos come out of the woodwork because this thing is filed. And they're all pissed about it. They've all got something to say. The 22nd is when Sergeant Randy Bitchmade Jones stops wearing his Odin patch. Per command. And then, finally, on December 6th, oh my gosh, the Attorney General, pinch hitter, comes in, transfers Rick from Westville Correctional Facility to Wabash, where they have, guess what, a mental health unit. Per Attorney General Todd Rakita. There's no reason given. They don't notify his counsel at the time, Scribrado. They don't notify them that they're moving him. They do it in the middle of the night. They don't give a reason for it. Not that they have to, but again, that's a problem. And there you have it, folks. A successful conclusion. Wow. An investigation worthy of what? I would be fucking despondent if I were a family member entrusting these fucking weirdo ass clowns to solve my kid's murder. All right, kids, thanks for hanging out. It's late. It's bedtime. We should all go to sleep. And I was going to say one more thing. I was going to show you one more thing. Nope, that's it. It's time for bed.